You have to love Dr. Stone. Only in this series could the most over-exaggerated facial reactions in anime that you could ever see work so perfectly hand-to-hand with the story being told. When you're back in the Stone Age and only a very small handful of people have seen the wonders of modern civilization, modern cooking, modern technology, both with medicine and just the general pleasures we have in day-to-day life, if you show anything from modern day to a caveman or cavewoman back in the day, their mind's gonna be blown. So when you see these reactions, you're like, this not only is hilarious to look at, it honestly feels like a genuine reaction. It's just obviously a bit more amplified to make it a bit more humorous. And then when you see it on Senku's perspective, he feels like a supervillain because what he's doing is just amazing, intelligent, manipulative, but so perfect. We know he's a good guy, but seeing his master plans come into just a rapid kind of connection and just seeing how happy and just twisted it makes him, it's just so pleasant to look at it. And I thought after last week, I felt like I had a good understanding, a good grasp on the overall details and how things would be drawn in Dr. Stone. This week showed me this series still has many tricks up its sleeve because the reactions were just completely overboard. It honestly felt like they cranked up the notch by 5. And I was like, how are you going to crank it up even more than what we've already seen? But we're seeing characters' head inflated like a balloon. We're seeing just the most anime design things you could ever see. But not only does it work for the story, it also is just ridiculous and humorous to look at because the character models just lend themselves to be animeified like we see here. The idea that you could bring together a group of people who are very wary of you because you're an outsider, and you can make discounted ramen to lure them to be your manpower is simply brilliant. I'm quite pleased that they went the route of not letting Senku be able to make the medicine by himself with the very few people that he did have, because I think it would have made it feel like he never has to work for anything. Because if you could literally make medicine with just a handful of people, giving him an entire kingdom is going to make everything just snap into his fingers and is not going to feel like there's a threat of danger. The fact that they actually did do fairly well kind of gathering the materials, but when it came to the overall heat that they need, there's no way that they can smelt iron and steel and just all the general minerals we smelt in our day-to-day life without the proper machinery. They naturally can't get wood burning to the proper heat. And I was like, okay, they're making it funny. We're seeing all of them basically apparently going for 30 hours straight, which you have to question, did they really do that or not, or was there a couple of breaks here and there? But the fact that they didn't have the heat to be able to melt what they need to was a kind of sense of relief for me. I thought this entire episode was humorous, it was snapping into succession in just a very interesting and elegant way, but when it came to the fire, I was like, there's no way these 4 people should be able to do this, and the fact that they couldn't, it just makes it feel like Dr. Stone knows when to be silly and knows when to just kind of speed things through, but it also knows when to slow it down and say, okay, we still want you to believe that there is some logical reasons for how things are being made, and the fact that they had to recruit even more people, even more manpower, to get the flames to the proper temperature, it just makes me feel a sense of relief like this series has yet to do anything majorly wrong. It knows when to take real world logic and make it fit into the story without making it feel dry or boring, but it also knows how to speed things along and also just make it fun without making us really go by all the details piece by piece, which would honestly feel like we were watching the History Channel and learning how things are made. So I like how they have this very interesting balance where 90% of it is meant to be fun, but that 10% is meant to make it feel like it is still connected to real world fundamentals. And that keeps it into an interesting balance where Dr. Stone continues to be fun, but it also has that real-world connection, so it doesn't just feel like it's a stupid show that's just trying to have fun. No, it does feel like an intelligent show. It just has a lot of anime design sequences to it. We get introduced to a new character, Suika, in this episode who wears a watermelon husk on their head. I was like, okay, this is why I enjoy this show. Not only are the reactions ridiculous, the character models can just be so just absurd and you can't help but appreciate it. The fact that not only they gave this shy kid basically this like way to hide away their self, like you can tell there's this shyness and feeling like there's not any self-worth, but then they also give it a unique trait where you can blend in with just fruits and vegetables as you listen in and spy on people. That is so ridiculous in anime and I love it. The fact that Suika immediately was like, oh, Senku didn't even judge me because of what I'm wearing, but all the other characters are like, yeah, Senku just sees you as a tool to use. He doesn't give a shit about you. It's just so ridiculous how, like, the group of connections Senku is getting in this show, it feels like they really are starting to understand him, where, like, they understand his manipulative side, but they all are drawn to his intelligence, but also his kindness and just how he's naturally a pleasant person, but the longer you hang around with them, the more villainous he does seem. I mean, just look at his faces. You can definitely be like, okay, are we really wanting to tag along with this guy, but at the same time, he's making us bitchin' ramen, so I guess we have to. I just love the ridiculous aura to this show. Like, this episode is literally them just trying to build a pill and then they make ramen. That's all this episode was, but it was so entertaining, and you'd be hard pressed to find many anime that can compete in terms of the level of fun that this episode did have. It just feels like Dr. Stone kind of cracked this formula that should have really had more issues than it had up to now. Not necessarily like it should have failed up till now, but it should have maybe made a lot more missteps that I would have been expecting. The amount of comedy and ridiculous anime reactions this show has had up to this point, it feels like they should have kind of milked the cow too much here. We should have had that dairy cow just completely dry, and they continued on this formula that we've seen in the early stages. But even though they've actually upped the amount of anime reactions we've seen, they somehow keep incorporating it into the overall story. And the fact that we have all these characters a part of the Stone Age, it just makes us feel like these reactions, they fit with this world so well that no matter how many they throw at us, it doesn't feel like they're dragging it out or milking it. It actually feels like these reactions are a part of the story, and not many anime can use these reactions and say that unless they're a comedy. We get some pretty interesting information about some of the stories these characters have heard. They're learning things a part of his world, his original time period, and it almost feels like they're being taught these stories as a way to teach them about wild beasts, but how could Ruri actually know that? It's like they need to make this pill and cure her so we can get some answers on not only how was their original ancestors kind of like, were they part of the stone? Did they not get affected by the stone? What happened with their ancestors, and why are certain tales from their past being passed down, but clearly not any of the technological advancements such as Senku is bringing to the table? It's going to be interesting for sure, but the fact that they made that ramen at the end was so great. Like, I wasn't sure what they were building at first. I was like, okay, are they making bread? Are they going to make some stew? Felt like stew for a while, and then I was like, oh, ramen. Of course we're going ramen. And the fact that they all thought it was the greatest thing ever, like the bowl of the gods, basically. The most flavorful thing they've probably ever ate in their entire life. And then Senku's like, this is just absolutely horrible. I guess it's good if you're trying to heal yourself, but this is absolute ass, because he knows what true ramen tastes like. But then you have these characters who have been eating fish and just very plain tasting things. This is what's so great about this show. Taking modern minds, not only to just bring the technological advancements to the Stone Age, but the fact that they have this connection that the things that amaze them are things that are either going to disappoint him, like, man, I really thought I could have made a great bowl of ramen, and this is just absolute ass. But then you have all this other just phenomenon that it's so fun. And I just love that. Dr. Stone has really defined this formula that I hope it does well streaming. I hope it does well in terms of products, both merchandise and just everything like that, because this is a show that I would love to see get at least 3 seasons here, if not a full adaptation, of course. It just feels like this is a story because of the idea that even when they maybe run out of ways to make it funny, there's ways to progress in a serious manner as well, as you have one character recruiting with science, which is just the idea that you can recruit people by filling their stomach with yummy goodies is just amazing. And then you have another character who's going to recruit with brute strength, and hell, maybe he won't even be able to recruit as many people as someone like Senku could. It just feels like they have a numerous amount of ways that they can go just another 12 episodes of this. Funny, adorable, just what am I looking at? And then they can go into serious like we had when Senku almost died. Well, I guess he did die, but then came back because of the stone on his neck. That's what I love about this show. You could see this lasting so many episodes because they can both go serious and as well as comedic. They can blend it all in one episode or just have an arc that is kind of catered to one or the other. This show is not letting up. Each episode feels like they're increasing on the formula, and I can understand why people love this arc so much. I still stand by what I said, that the stuff before getting introduced to this village was fantastic, and I could understand how the anime could make it more enjoyable than maybe reading it in the manga with the voice acting, the animation, and just maybe polishing up some areas that maybe would have dragged out or just went by a little too fast within the source material. But this arc in particular, when you have all these personalities, you can already get a taste of how their personalities are going to be implemented to Senku's kind of worldview, and how they're already wanting to join him even if they're trying to fight back against it. Like, you gave one guy a gold spear, of course that's going to start getting the warriors maybe a little jealous and being like, well, maybe I can go over to his side just for an hour or so, maybe he can make me one of those. It's gonna be fun. This man is going to be like joining a council or something in no time. He is going to be worshipped by the ladies, the guys. Everyone is going to want a piece of Senku's ass because he's gonna cook for them, he's gonna teach them the technology, he's going to make this village basically fall into his pocket, and that's what's so exciting. This would be such a dangerous thing if it wasn't Senku. Even though he has that twisted villain persona on a basically visual level, he's such a good guy that you trust in it, but you can just see how he could manipulate and become a god of this world if he wanted to be. That's not what he wants, and that's what's so fascinating about this. This was just phenomenal. This was an amazing episode. Once again, just another favorite episode of Dr. Stone. They just keep upping the ante, and I hope they don't stop anytime soon. What did everyone think of this week's episode, though? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Your favorite reaction? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, though, be sure to drop a like and also hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.